Welcome to the Grandstand Golf Podcast. This is the weekend golf update for the 2021 Masters. I am your host, Adam Bapty, and as always, I'm joined by my brothers, Craig.
Hey, how we doing, guys?
And Kevin.
How's it going, everyone?
Guys, that was a thrilling finish, and we had Hideki Matsuyama get that major championship, get that green jacket. Craig, do you want to give us a quick recap of what went down?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into, I feel like most people watch the tournament. So I'm not going to give a play-by-play of everything that happened. Well, I'm going to give kind of a play-by-play. What I want to highlight is where I think the tournament was won. So, we open on a course that's firm and fast. That's what we're hearing going into the week. Firm and fast. Firm and fast. Justin Rose, it was not too firm and fast for Justin Rose. Opened with 65, 7 under. Closest to him, one Hideki Matsuyama. Now that sort of held. It held for a day, held through round 2, held, most of the way through round 3. It started to cluster, like Rose stayed stagnant and the whole kind of leaderboard sort of clustered, -4, -5, -6 area. And then we had the weather delay on Saturday. And following the weather delay, to me, this is 2 hours, essentially, that I think the tournament was won. Hideki went absolutely bonkers. 8 holes, or 7.5, I guess, because he had already hit his tee ball on 11. But 7.5 holes, he went 6 under, and it was just like such a masterful display of golf. So he had hit his tee shot on 11. He was in what Kev likes to call Tiger's Alley, that little, on the right side there. Had to hit a great shot. Had to navigate through some trees. Got it up there close. Made a birdie putt. 12, he threw it to 10 feet. It's the easier pin on the left side. Put it to 10 feet, made a birdie putt. 13, hit a bomb of a drive. Hit 171 yards in.
Ooh.
Hits it on. He hits it to that same spot. We saw Corey Connors up there. It was the front hole on 13. Everyone coming down that hole after the weather delay left it short because they're so used to those greens just trickling out. And it kind of caught up. He missed his second one. 3-putt par on 13.
Ooh.
Went to 14. So this is his roughest stretch. 14. A little bit left off the tee. Right and deep. He hit it to like this kind of no man's land, right and deep on 14. Hit an awesome little wedge up over the top. Put it to 4 feet. Easy par. So those 2 pars, that's kind of the downside. 15. Hit it to 6 feet from 200 yards out, eagle.
Yeah.
16, hardest pin of the week, right up on that right side, 4 feet, birdie. 17, rain's falling again, puts it to 10 feet, birdie. 18, potentially his other worst swing of this stretch. His drive goes deep into that fairway bunker, and he ends up hitting a great shot out of there, but he just hammered it. He just mashed the thing. So it went up to like the exit ramp way on 18, and then he hit that beautiful little bump and run that just trundled right up, and he had I thought it was going to be a struggle of an up and down, but he just had an easy tap in par. So to me, really, he went from 5 under when he left the course for the weather delay. He was 11 under afterwards. And essentially from that point, it was just hold on to the lead. He went out there, he scored in a flurry, and he was just running out the clock all day long on Saturday.
So he ended up getting 4 clear on Saturday. His next closest was 7 under. And everybody played better after the weather delay.
Yes.
The scoring average went way down.
But it's like everyone picked up like a stroke or 2 compared to what was expected. He just went bonkers.
Anybody who was still out on the course at that point benefited from that weather delay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was a huge turning point for sure in the tournament, was that weather delay.
I mean, I think that's one of the best back nines we've seen at Augusta. I mean, if that was on Sunday, it would be absolutely insane.
Well,
I think that's just...
another really good back nine was Justin Rose on that
I was going to say.
He was stretching out to 11 holes, and he was 9 under through 11, his last 11. But I also think like that weather delay totally sort of changed the complexion of the week, because after that, the course, like even today, it was playing softer. You would see it when you saw shots hit into greens. There was ball marks, it was just a different course from what you saw the first couple of days. But Hideki, this win, one of my boys. The one thing I was saying is
Yeah.
how much it's going to mean for Japan, the Japanese golfing nation, if he wins a major, when he wins a major, to do it at the Masters, right before the Olympics. You can't even really articulate how big of a win this is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just for people that are new to our podcast, we did an episode, I think it's episode 8, called My Boys, and we each picked 3 golfers that we thought were going to make, that big step in their careers.
Or we wanted to make that big step.
and
Who we wanted
different for
to,
different peoples. They're kind of, we had some people who were more up at the higher end of the rankings, some people who are lower down looking to take maybe their first steps. Pretty good week though, considering 2 of my boys are Hideki and Will Zalatoris.
Yeah, not bad. Yours have had a pretty good stretch of season here.
Well, Hideki really, this came out of nowhere.
It did. And that's what I was going to say is Hideki is a guy I didn't have backed at all. Kind of was flying under the radar for me going into the week, despite him having some success here in the past. But after Saturday,
and just generally being a very highly ranked player at points.
Generally being a world-class player. But after Saturday, you couldn't help but kind of hope that he can hold on and get the win, because he's just such a likable guy who it feels like he should have won more already, and I think he would have a major or 2 already if he could get that putter working for him a little more sometimes. Mm-hmm. So you just have to be happy for him. I mean, he kind of seems to do everything the right way. And the golf shots he hit on Saturday were unbelievable. I mean Sunday too, but that stretch down after the weather delay there, unbelievable. He pretty much said in the interview afterwards he didn't miss a shot, that everything was where he wanted to put it, and it looked like it.
Oh man,
one of the things insane. I love about Hideki to me is that he really just seems like a golfing nerd. There's a lot of people you see on the PGA Tour, and they're really big characters, and they're sort of celebrities. Hideki just seems like if he could just everyone would just shut up and they could just play golf, that he would be at his happiest, and I just love that. I love to see, one of the great things about golf and in individual sports, I think, is you get to see such different personalities. But I just love seeing Hideki and seeing him walk off the green and get emotional for a guy who's usually so stoic. You could see the nerves, you could see the relief from having pulled it off. It was just a really great day of. Yeah,
you could just kind of see everything setting in as he was walking off. There, and that was pretty neat, I thought. So what?
A little bit different because he didn't have the family there. I think his family's all back in Japan right now. Yeah. But he kind of had his team, his close circle of people there to greet him as he was coming off the green.
Yeah.
So what would you note this week for Hideki that stuck out to you? Whether it, ball striking, short game putting, what to you kind of surprised you or was not what you expected, or what do you think won it for him this week, I guess?
To me, I don't know if the stats back this up, but I think it's him limiting mistakes, and bogeys and scrambling and that kind of thing. I have a stat about this. He only had 13 birdies on the week. That's from the Masters.com website. He had 13 birdies.
I think 3 or 4 eagles though.
3 eagles. But just to give you a reference, Bob McIntyre had 21 birdies.
Yeah. He only had 13 birdies? Are you kidding?
13 birdies, 3 eagles, and he won by, it could have been 2 strokes. He won by 1 stroke.
Yeah.
Bob McIntyre had 7 more birdies than him. That's just birdies. That doesn't include eagles. That's just birdies.
So yeah, to me, to get back to Kev's question, first off, I think that is incredible that he only had 13
Yeah,
birdies.
I do too.
Because he really did play, it was very efficient golf, I think you would say. But the thing, so I think there's 2 different questions there. It's what surprised me the most and what do I think won it? I think, what won it is Hideki's amazing approach play and around the green play.
Yeah,
but
you're probably right about that.
The thing that usually is his Achilles heel, and what won it for him this week that doesn't show up was his putter, and
100%.
usually the putter finds a way to let him down when he's still doing those other things great, and it was a great week of putting for him. And that's, we talk about that a lot with these ball strikers that might not have the most reliable putters, that if it just clicks for 4 days, then you see how amazing they can be, and they can go out there and win tournaments. And that's really what we saw from Hideki this week.
Yeah, so I guess part of the reason why I posed the question the way I did is because I didn't, I guess, realize it, but his short game, his chipping was spot on this week. Yeah. Every time you thought, oh, he might be in a little bit of trouble here, he just knocked it to 4 feet and made him a pretty, worry-free par putt. It was unbelievable. He always seemed to
and it's one of the anomalies. One of the things that is unusual at Hideki is that you think someone who has such a good feel with a wedge in his hand around the greens would be able to figure out that feel with a putter, but for some reason he it hasn't translated up till now.
Well, it sure did this week. I mean, I don't remember him missing many crucial ones.
Well, when he was going 18,
that one on
Saturday
17 would have been it made things a little bit more comfy.
Yeah, but he did all he needed to do with that, cozy it up.
And then actually, you know what else? He had an ugly miss on 7 when Xander and him were both tight.
Oh, that's true for birdie. Yeah,
but no, for those are the type of things I feel like we're somewhat used to seeing when Hideki doesn't get it done.
Yeah.
But he just had enough in him this week that he made to be able to get it done.
I know I've said it before on the podcast, and I can't even remember what year it was, but I remember watching him in a British Open one Sunday, and where he was the closest one on almost every hole, and they'd cut to Hideki again, and it's like, for birdie, he misses another 8-footer, he misses another 6-footer, and you're like, he's only 2 back. Like, if he would make one of these putts, he'd be right there in it. But yeah, so it's good to see that he made the ones he had to, and I really, I guess what I was trying to say before, I just couldn't be happier for the guy. Like, there's sometimes where, if you got a lot of stakes out there like we have this year, it can be pretty frustrating when your guys aren't up there, and you don't, come Sunday, you don't have too many horses in the race. But it was awesome watching Hideki try to close it out today, and I was really pulling for him. Craig, I know you must have been pretty conflicted there with 2 of your boys right at the top, Hideki and Zalatoris.
Yeah, and I'm always gonna be a Xander guy too. Like, it's hard not to cheer for him, but no,
okay, so let's talk about it. So going into Sunday, we had Hideki, Xander, Marc Leishman, Justin Rose, Will Zalatoris, and Corey Connors. And I think that's a good breakpoint because all of them were looking for that first major. So it's easy to cheer, kind of like you were saying, it's easy to cheer for not Justin Rose, but I mean a big Masters win for him. It would have been with kind of his history at Augusta. But, sorry, Craig, I'm throwing it back to you with saying Will Zalatoris was super hot to start the round, and Hideki's 4-stroke lead was won very, very quickly, very early in his round.
Well, I think there's 2 very dramatic points of the day to me. There was the start when Hideki had just put it out to the right in the trees and ended up making bogey out of there. Yep. And Zalatoris had gone birdie, and it was already it kind of felt like, I can't remember what year it was, but it's just like, what do they say about everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the face or something?
Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson, yeah.
It felt like that. Like, okay, 4 strokes, but then we were talking about this before the round, that the way it's set up at Augusta, it's going to condense at some point. So there was that start of the round, and then it's sort of almost it got tight there for a second, but then Hideki, I think he made a birdie at 2, and it sort of got comfortable again at, maybe 2, 3, 4 stroke. He ended up 2 under through 9. But then Xander put on the gas pedal after a very ugly start to his round. Yeah. And then, we went through 15, Hideki hitting it in the water. And then there was about 5 minutes there of drama on the back 9 where, it looked like it was a totally wide open match between Hideki and Xander again.
Yeah.
Two-stroke separation at that point.
I was talking
Going
in our
into
Discord
16.
there because
Yeah.
at 4, 5, 6, 7, I think it's a super hard stretch at Augusta. And Hideki was kind of parring them as he needed to. And Will Zalatoris had a short birdie putt on 7, I think to get to 10 at that, or to maybe at 9 within the par 5, 8 coming up. And I was like, if Zalatoris gets to 9 right now and Hideki still has to navigate, 6 and 7, which are tough holes, this could really change. But then Zalatoris misses birdie putt. Hideki cleared those holes with pars and then got a couple birdies to close out the front 9, which is huge.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think here for 1 second. Number 5 too was an absolutely huge moment for Hideki. That was when he had I forget how he ended up there, but he had laid way up on his second.
He was probably
then,
in the bunker.
I think he was in the bunker, but I think I was doing dishes at that point, so I was kind of in and out of the room. But then he hit it to maybe 15, 20 feet, and then he had a putt that 17 feet, and he had a putt that was just whistling towards the hole, and it went in, and that was a huge point, because I think that was right around the point you were talking about where Zalatoris had the birdie putt, and it looked like it was going to be a bogey for Hideki.
Two-shotter.
Yeah, it looked like it might be that 2-shot swing.
So that was a bit of an interesting dynamic too, with Zalatoris 2 groups in front. Because he was always further ahead than you think, which at Augusta, that's what it's all about. We've talked about it before. I remember, I think it was 2019 or something, when all of a sudden Cantley and Bubba were like right in it, because they had just, I think one of them had eagled. Yeah. They had eagled and birdied 15, and I was like, okay, just pump the brakes here. Yeah. The leaders still have to go through like 13 and 15.
Yeah, 13, 15, 16.
13, even 14's got a bit of a funnel pin. It's a potential birdie with a good shot in there. But like, I know we're probably gonna get into the course later on, but it's just unparalleled. Like,
but then there's other ones where like where Adam's talking about, where if you haven't gone through there yet, they're tough bars. So like there are points, especially on the back nine, where it's like, okay, but these guys have chances to gain those strokes back. But then there's the other ones where it's like, 9, 10, 11 can all easily be bogey holes.
That's why they're so awesome.
Yeah. It's just a very interesting course that presents so many. It really does do such a good job of testing these guys, testing all facets of their game.
As you guys are saying, it is naturally built for drama.
It is. It's like there's no course out there. Like I'm obviously a huge Masters fan, have been forever, but like you couldn't tell me there's a course that provides better drama based on the way that the holes are laid out. There's these tough segments like you guys are talking about, but there's these ones that like look at 13. So the leaders, let's talk Saturday, I guess. Like it was an eagleable
13 actually, I think,
and
was
Justin
not
Thomas
as
made an 8.
exciting as other years. Like I felt 15 brought a lot more of the excitement this year than 13 did.
Yeah. I mean, I guess
I think it's just the randomness of how it played out.
Yeah,
but
a couple things. I think the pins on Saturday and Sunday at 13 were both pretty close to Rays Creek, and the balls weren't coming down. And the putts on Saturday, especially after the rain, they were just like screeching towards the hole, and these guys were leaving themselves 6, 7, 8 feet with additional downhill pins. So it was
on Saturday.
On Saturday at 13. Yeah.
I do think it also seemed like, to me, maybe I'm just sort of putting my own slant on this, but it felt like there weren't many people going at the pin on 13. It seemed like the out to the left side of the green safe approach shot was a very common play, and probably backed up by data that
Well, you got to remember they're hitting off a hard sloped lie. Is naturally going to draw the ball, right? So. But that's where
so has everyone else when they have thrown daggers in on that pin and made big, like it's always been the case. But it felt to me like we didn't have that big. I mean, maybe Xander hit one in there, didn't he?
Yeah, Xander.
That was maybe the only one.
That was another huge turning point today. Was that could have been at least where he picked up one shot,
and then he picked up none because Hideki had a great chip again.
Yeah, he had a beautiful chip in there and made a pretty no sweat birdie, and Xander still had a chance to pick up one on him. For a while, it looked like it could have been 2, and wasn't able to. So, yeah, I mean, so
Okay,
I don't know how you guys.
Who do we want? We got to move back.
Just real quick.
We got to move on here.
Just real quick. I do think that with how you think Augusta National is perfectly structured to provide the drama, and it does it like no other course. I think that the problem with that is we don't see all the other major championship courses on a yearly basis. So while I think there may be something to that, I think we kind of have a distorted perception of it, because if we saw St. Andrews every year, then potentially we would say that I think just pump the brakes a touch on this being the only course in the world that could potentially provide.
No, I don't think he's declaring that, but
no, I'm not declaring that. But
I can't believe
if you want me to, I will.
He's trying to get some kind of invite. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna work, Kevin. Okay,
let's move on. So
we've danced around Zalatoris, we've danced around Xander, we've danced around the course. I say we go to Zalatoris. Let's talk about Zalatoris for a little bit, because he kind of hung around there, I think, for all 4 rounds. Craig, you might have how he was finishing after each round, but he was just there. He played exceptional. It seemed like he was well-rounded, complete game. For the casual fan, I think a lot of them were seeing him for the first time, because even at his US Open great finish, he didn't get a lot of airtime unless he was kind of hitting hole-in-ones.
He never gets airtime.
I thought you wanted me to tell you he was at 2 under, and then 6 under, and then 7 under, and then 9 under to finish.
Wow.
So it was just a persistent march up the leaderboard.
Actually, that's right. He's the only one who finished under par every single day.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
So for me, as a somewhat of a casual Zalatoris fan compared to Craig,
you're probably not compared to the world. Like, I think it's more just, it seems like it.
I was like thoroughly impressed. Like he never really seemed to hit a bad shot that I saw. I mean, obviously you have your misses, but he was making seemingly every par putt he needed to, grinding hard. Like, his ball striking is top notch. He was hitting in the right spots all the time.
The putter, you can see how the putter's the weakness, though. Like, you could see that.
But I mean, that's
and not just in like putts that he should have made and he didn't, but also in like putts that you're like, he should have gotten that closer and he didn't.
And you know what? For a first timer at the Masters, that is unbelievably impressive that he was able to hang like he did and just continue to not only hang there but continue to like push it.
Pressure didn't seem to be.
That's not what guys do. Sorry, Adam.
Pressure didn't seem to be an issue at all.
No,
I think he's got a very strong mental game. He I forget what the exact quote is, but essentially he said early in the week, he was like, people thought I was stupid to think I was going to be playing here, so I'm going to be just as stupid thinking I can win here.
And apparently his phone was turned off the entire weekend or entire week.
But I think he is one of these people who he's going to do. He's very process oriented as opposed to outcome oriented. Like, he knows the shot he's going to try to hit. He's going to try to hit it. He's going to go where the ball goes, and then he's going to try to hit his next shot. Like, he's not going to get too high or too low over any outcome of what has happened, And I think that it's kind of that ice in your veins. I'm going to do my thing, and if that's good enough, that's good enough. The one thing I think we need to see is continued improvement with the putter, because that seems to be his weakness. His ball striking is world class. He just needs to continue to keep getting that putter better and better so he can score.
I saw him hit a lot of center cups, so it looks pretty solid.
Well, you were probably a lot more confident. I was sweating. I've seen too many times that they haven't gone, so I was sweating pretty good.
That's actually funny you mentioned that, because I wasn't particularly cheering for Zalatoris given some of the guys at the top of the leaderboard there. Not that I was cheering against him, but it's funny how the guys that you're not really cheering for always seem to make the putts.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Whereas your guys always seem to be burning lips.
Like a Finau, you're like, oh, I have no faith in this guy.
Yeah, I've been there.
That's a good comparison.
Okay,
I mentioned this on one of our. I mentioned this on one of our shows, but I want to bring it up again because I find it kind of mind blowing. Hideki Matsuyama is only 4 years older than Will Zalatoris.
Yeah,
that is
so.
Crazy.
So I mean, the other thing about Zalatoris,
Masters.
Yeah. So I feel like we're talking about two opposite ends of the spectrum here. Like, we're talking the child prodigy who has been around forever, and it's like he's only 29, like he's just turned 29 a few months ago, you know. And Zalatoris is more of the guy that he was a great amateur, great college player, but kind of took a little bit more time getting to this level at the pro level. So I saw someone had tweeted this out, but like, we talk about him being this young hotshot, but like he's older than Hovland, he's older than Morikawa, he's older than Wolf, he's older than Neiman, he's older than Sungjae. Like he's 24 years old. He's taking the next steps in his career, and that's what's awesome about it.
And I think it's a little bit easier for him to kind of make that quick leap because he has more maturity than, say, an 18, 19-year-old kind of with extraordinary talent breaking on the scene. He's been through a couple things, you know, from some life things that give him...
I would compare it a little bit more to Xander, who, you know,
for sure.
People always talk about how Xander always had the game. It's just he kind of had to put all the pieces together. And once he got on, you know, he was rookie of the year when he got onto the tour. And then he's just continued to take the steps. And I think that's a little bit more what we're going to see from Zalatoris. He didn't burst onto the scene as a 21-year-old. But now that he's 24 and he's here, he's gonna elbow up some room in the top 20 for himself, I think.
So that's a great segue. Let's talk about Xander.
Yeah, let's talk about Xander. I'll start if you don't mind.
I'm still just a little bit sad talking about Xander. I'm still...
Listen, at the end of the day, I think that Xander, like, it's a disappointing finish for Xander. He really only needed to go, you know, 69 today, and he would have been tied for the lead. And that's not, with Sunday pins at Augusta, that's not out of the question, especially for a guy like Xander. He's been, what is it, like his 12th top 20 in the majors he's played now. Like he's got a ton of experience. He's got experience on Sunday in contention at majors. This was one that it seemed like, you know, he had multiple chances, and it was because he was playing well. You know, he kind of, like Craig said, he had a bad start, kind of battled his way back.
Yeah, so 4-5, he went bogey double, and it was just kind of like a couple body blows. He ended up at four under through 5.
He bogeyed 3 where he chipped it back to his feet.
Yeah, that's right. After hitting it like in the perfect spot with his drive, and that's a diabolical pin.
That is a crazy pin.
That's an underrated hole. I think that off the tee, that's about as good as a place you could want to be. It's just he really, like, it's one of those things where a yard to the right on that chip, and it's rolling up there perfectly.
Yeah.
But it just that green is diabolical, and that pin is the hardest spot on the green. So there's no easy way. There's no way to hide from the third hole. You just you have to come up with a strategy and try to execute it.
But despite everything that he had gone through early in the round, he battled back. He was right there. He got himself to, what was it, 9 under after 15? 10 under after 15, and that's even with like missing the short eagle putt on 13, and like he was taking the hard way. He stiffed it on 14 for birdie. You know, he made his birdie, almost made an eagle on 15. And then 16 just I know you're attacking, but there's ways to attack that pin without going right at it.
I don't think you heard his post round interview.
No, I didn't.
So he said he hit the exact shot he wanted to hit. He hit the shot that he drew up based on the wind he felt, and from what he had been told from vets is, I think what he said, correct me if I'm wrong, but what you feel is the same as what you're going to get. You know, like how sometimes on the course, what you feel is not necessarily what you're going to get in the air. But what you feel is what you get. So, you know, draw your shot and hit it. And he hit it exactly how he wanted. He said, he told his caddy afterwards, like, he flushed it. He hit the shot exactly how he wanted. And it was, you know, 3 yards short-ish, something like that. And that's Augusta National, you know.
I mean, I have to disagree with you, Kevin. Like, you kind of said it's disappointing. I think we saw so much from Xander today that it just it's that next step where he's going to get hit. Like, it's another, like, scar tissue, like I think he said in his interview after.
I'm going to go ahead and disagree with you. He doesn't need any more next steps. He's got enough scar
scar tissue isn't a good thing.
He could, after 5, he could have just packed it in. He got 6 birdies in the stretch there.
For sure.
He grinded,
But to me, it's still disappointing because, like, I think he would be disappointed in it too. Like, it's not like it's disappointing and, you know, I'm down on him. It's more just like, this is one of those times it could have come together for him, and it didn't. And the difference was 3 or 4 yards on that shot on 16. I mean, he still continued to make a mess of it from that point. I mean, he could have gotten out of there with a bogey. I mean, he was probably out of contention at that point, but it didn't need to be a triple bogey, you know?
I think it's just like, it's one of those things where winning majors in golf is exceptionally hard. And we've been spoiled by this one guy for the past couple of decades, but we look at DJ and he's got 2, and he's one of the best golfers of his generation. I mean, Hideki just got his first ones, and he's also one of the best golfers like of this era. Xander, I mean, it's just all building the foundation for a fantastic career, especially in majors. He's so good in majors. It just like his attitude towards it, I love. Like, I feel like I'm a huge homer, but I'm going to defend him.
Well, I don't think we're attacking him. I think we're just saying that you're you know, every time you have an opportunity, if it doesn't work out, it's a bit disappointing. It's not like we're down on him. We think he's going to crack under the pressure the next time. Or at least that's not how I feel about it. It's more just like it sucks for him that it didn't work out. Like, that's what's disappointing about it.
I'm as a guy who was pulling for him to push Hideki at the end, I was disappointed, and I'm sure he's disappointed with a T3 in the Masters because that's not what he was going for. But And because he grinded and battled back as hard as he did, you know, standing on that 16th tee with the honor, I was like, here we go. Augusta again, like it's gonna be a nail biter, you know.
But the other thing he said, which to me is indicative of like what you want to see from, if you're a Xander fan, it's what you want to see. He's like, yeah, I could have played it out to the right. Like, I was pushing, I had to push. Like, that's what you want to see. You know, if you are playing for FedEx Cup points and the, you know, like I saw a few tweets out there that it probably cost him $575,000, which I mean, that's where that's partly he continued to make a mess of the hole afterwards. But but if you're caring about those things, then maybe you're gonna play that one a little bit further right, a little bit longer. But he doesn't. He was in contention with 3 holes to go. He was thinking birdie, and it just, his number was a little bit off. And you know, that's golf. Like, that's the reality of it. But to me, still the most impressive thing, I mean, he was at 8 under through 2. He was at 4 under through 5, and he got back to 10 under by 15. Yeah. Like, that is the guy has the game to do it. I think we're going to do it. Honestly, I think he's going to do it at this course. I think, and I don't want to give him the Rory curse, but I think the course sets up well for him. He likes to move the ball right to left.
Short game.
He's got a good short game. He's a good putter. It sets up. Maybe I don't want to put the Rory curse on him because people have been saying this about Rory for so long, but you just feel like he's going to get one here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Xander could have been one of those guys that's cut from the broadcast in the final group within an hour and a half, you know, and he completely changed that.
He flipped the script on that.
Now, speaking of cut from the broadcast, maybe that's the time to talk about Rose and Leishman, who disappeared from the broadcast there for a good chunk of the day.
Yeah, I mean, the 2 vets are in the same group, second to last group.
They were flipping before and after them. Zalatoris, Hideki. Yeah. Zalatoris, Xander.
So first off, Rose, I mean, to me, what caught me off guard this week for Rose was I did not see I did not see that kind of golf coming from him this week. I thought we were going to be lucky to see him make a cut, to be honest. And so, but he ended up... Sure.
Solo 7th,
which to me is a pretty darn good finish for where he was. I'm sure he's a little bit disappointed based on where he was through the first round, but I just don't think he had the horsepower this week.
Yeah, well, I remember telling you, Craig, after Thursday that I'd be surprised if he was any better than even from that point forward. If he finished any better than 7 under.
Call.
Yeah, and
it also at that point the course was playing as hard as it was all week.
And you see guys get out like that, you know, out in front, and it's very difficult to continue to run away with it because there's just so many pitfalls to happen like out there at Augusta that you're going to get caught eventually.
Yeah.
And I mean, to his credit, he looked like he was going to get caught on Friday morning or Friday afternoon, whenever his tee time was.
Yeah, he had a great
and
back nine there.
He battled back from that. Again, at -7, at that same point, I was kind of like, he can go 1 or 2 under and kind of cruise to this every day, but he went par +2, which is you can't do that. It's a long tournament.
Yeah.
And then Leishman,
those guys
I don't know.
Today they just didn't really do anything. They just didn't really get the fireworks going and couldn't gain momentum.
I mean, both of them bogeyed the first hole, birdied the next hole, but then they were 4, 5, or 6 under the rest of the day. Didn't really get anything going. Leish, though, this is a good finish for Leish. Adam, you had him as a sleeper, a DFS sleeper coming into the week, so maybe you should tell us, why did you see this coming? What?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I don't know. I did not expect this, but it happened. I basically said he had a good finish at the November Masters. He's played this Masters very well before. In DFS, his price is quite low. Didn't have the same question marks that Rose did. Leishman actually had a couple pretty decent rounds, at least. Maybe not decent tournaments or decent finishes, but
he was in very poor form last summer. But then it looked like he had, at points in this, 2021 year, it looked like there had been points where he had found his game a little bit again.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And to me, the Leishman Rose pairing, they kind of sum up each other perfectly. Like, they're two veterans that we don't know how many more realistic shots are going to have at this, especially with the firepower of youth we have with not only the guys up there, but the JTs, the Rahms, the Rorys, all those guys, they're going to have to battle each year. And they're two guys, the Cam Smiths. And they're two guys that have played Augusta exceptionally well over their careers, but it's kind of is, time's running out. I don't know if.
Yeah, this might be the one that got away, or another one that got away for Rose, because
another one that got away.
I don't, maybe he can find form to get himself. I just don't know if he has the game he did 2 years ago. And I don't know if physically he's going to get it again. But it'll be interesting to see whether he can or not.
If they do, it's going to be some kind of storybook special. They're not going to be.
Well, Leash, to me, it feels like he still has a bit more in the tank. Rose, it feels like we're getting closer and closer. Physically, it just feels like there's more and more things kind of coming up for him all the time.
Yeah. So we got 2 more guys on the leaderboard here to talk about that we have in our notes.
Well, 2 guys that we skipped over as I went down to the vets.
I want to talk about one a lot, and the other one has been talked about a lot. So
you start off, Kev.
Anybody want to say anything about Spieth? Spieth, got anything?
Well, I mean, so Spieth, coming off a win last week, coming off a couple of years of downplay until the last couple months. A lot of people liked him. He almost turned into the favorite this week. I probably am not the guy to talk about him because I'm just a natural contrarian. So as soon as everyone's jumping on this Spieth bandwagon, I just find it a little bit hard to get behind. But he definitely just there's something magical about Spieth at Augusta. Like that's what you can't deny. It seems like he seems to get more out of his round every single time than it feels like he's going to, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, that's kind of like Spieth at his best does that all the time. Like, not just at Augusta, but like when Spieth was, I don't know if he was number 1 in the world. I can't even remember, but
I'm sure he was.
When he was like at his best, he was always getting more out of his round than he should have.
Like to me, the emblematic one is on 15 on Thursday where he hits the pin and it drops for eagle.
That's a 4-shot swing, probably.
At least 3, I think. But I mean, the thing about Spieth is that like if it wasn't for, I mean, I've told you guys this before, but if it wasn't for like the media fawning over him and just generally like the world fawning over Jordan Spieth, like I'd probably like the guy. It's so hard to handle everyone talking about him as if he's like the greatest thing to happen to not just golf but like humanity. For like Kev, I was telling you about this tweet that I read, like how lucky are we to live in the same era as Jordan Spieth? Like,
give me a break.
I don't even know how to react to that. Like,
give me a break. I mean, I'll say it because I am on golf Twitter all the time. To me, it is a lot of, I mean, the biggest golf podcast out there is No Laying Up, and they have a big Spieth fandom. And I get it. Like I've listened to, I think it was his interview on there where he talked about his struggles and was very open about that. And I really respect that part of Spieth, and I really like that. But I mean, he it's not like all golden boy. Like how he talks to his ball and how Bryson talked to his ball are very similar. But for some reason, we're getting Spieth like the golden boy and Bryson as the outsider. I don't know. Yeah, I had Spieth as my one and done, so I loved how he finished. I mean, he has a special magic around Augusta.
Well, so he's an elite putter. He's got elite short game. He has elite approach game that is streaky, but when it shows up, I mean, he hits shots that it seems almost like, how does he get in it this close? You know, when he's hitting in from 175 yards, when he's playing well. So he does all the things. I think his strengths are very well suited to Augusta National.
He led the tournament in greens and regulation at 77%. So he was the leader there.
Did he really? Wow.
He had some big numbers too, and he probably deserved some bigger numbers. Like there's a couple times. I mean, the one that stands out to me the most today was on 2, and he was pulling it wide left off his tee shot, and that thing kicked right out into the fairway.
Yeah, God slapped it back onto the fairway for him for a golden five.
But the thing, and like the thing I find hardest to handle is that, like, for someone who seemingly gets so many good breaks, to just whine so much about the like things that like don't quite work out for you, like that's what's hardest to swallow.
Like when his ball is just like, how does that possibly happen? Like, dude, your ball just kicked off the tree into the fairway 50 yards past. Like it got back. It got even eventually a little bit.
Yeah.
But it seemed like throughout the whole tournament that he was about to make his move. Like he was always on the cusp of making that move, and it just never quite happened.
Well, and I mean, to me, the one thing that this reaffirmed is that Jordan Spieth has another green jacket in him for sure.
Oh yeah, I don't know if there's any.
Like he has such a good handle of this golf course, and so if he finds, if he continues to play with the form he's had over the last couple of months, I think it's inevitable that he's going to find. He's got
another 40 tries here if he wants to. If his body holds.
That's probably true. It's probably not too far off. Yeah. Maybe we'll give him 25, or 35. Sorry.
I can't wait to tell my grandkids about Spieth. who's that guy in suspenders that's always off like early? Well, that's Jordan Spieth.
Everybody seems to love him. So, can I talk about Jon Rahm now?
Yeah. So have we closed the book on Spieth? Is there anything else that we didn't mention?
I loved how far right he was on 9 that one day. He was so far right. That was when he was in the trees and they're crouching down.
But then the thing to me, like that's where I feel like Spieth still seems to get breaks. Like both the first time he had like a decent shot there. First off, he could have punched out right to the side. He had a decent alley to punch it up towards the green. And then he smacks it off a tree. And then he then continues to have a great line out. Like when that happens to me, I'm like stymied right behind a tree. And then I try to hit that and it hits a root and goes into the trees on the other side or something, anyways.
So I got to bring up one of my favorite memes all week was I saw that they're crouching down behind looking for an alley there. They're they got to be 100 yards off the fairway or something, it seems like. And it's haven't hit 100-yard wide fairway all day. And then me at the same time, I think I got a window here.
Yeah, that's how it feels.
I also love it because it seems like when golfers are in that situation, it seems like they get out or they barely clip like a leaf or something. But playing in the Pacific Northwest for our whole lives and there's big trees around, I feel like, man, I've heard that square in the middle of the tree sound. Clunk.
I've gotten pretty good at trying to estimate round trees at different angles of hitting them and how they might ricochet off.
Yeah. Pine needles only slow it down a little bit.
Yeah, it's true.
They're 96%.
Okay, on to Rahm.
Rahm. So all week I was waiting. Rahm was my one and done pick to win. All week I was waiting for him. It just seemed like he could not get momentum going. He'd make a birdie, but he'd followed up with a bogey and just couldn't really get anything going. I think he was 72, 72, 72. And I felt like it was his approach play all week that was kind of like he was often in good spots off the tee and just like not really hitting it, not using the slopes the way the guys who were scoring well were. And so he was always kind of either putting from a bad spot or he was off the green, which, by the way, Jon Rahm with a wedge in his hand around the greens is unparalleled in my opinion. Like, he is unbelievable. I watching him, being a huge like Jon Rahm fan this week, I almost wanted him to be off the green because I thought he was gonna hole every shot. Like,
well, it helps when you like tamp down the rough to improve your lie.
Oh, come on.
Okay.
Oh, there's no rough here. Oh, shoot.
So then, how excited was I today when he almost holes it on one for an eagle, like tap in birdie, makes an eagle on two, like the way you draw it up, just skate it down, watch it chase around to the right there, eagle two, hit it beautifully on three, like pin high, where like people were having trouble there. Just
are we going to go through all 18 holes here?
Hole by hole. Fourth hole. He's the only one I saw with like a legit birdie putt about 10 feet, missed it. Fifth had a birdie putt from about 15 feet, missed it.
So yes, Adam,
Anyways,
I guess we are going through all 18.
Sixth, he had a birdie putt, he missed it. No, anyways, he played awesome today. Like, awesome. He really, like, 66 was, I mean, I was joking with some of my boys when they're texting me, like, asking who I was cheering for. I'm like, I'm cheering for Rahm to shoot a 60 today and just come and take this. And after 4 holes, I was like, it's possible. He might do it. It's possible. And I obviously didn't, but what a round. Like, nobody was even close to that today, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, he was fairly well clear. He was -6. Terrell Hatton was -4, and then there was a couple at 3, Reed and Casey, but then it was 2. 2's where we started to see a lot of numbers, and then -1. So Rahm's -6 was a definite outlier for what the course was given.
And honestly, it could have been a couple better. He parred 13. Anyway, burned a lot of lips.
I mean, in a lot of ways, taking a macro outlook here, in a lot of ways, it was somewhat a classic backdoor top 10 from
for sure.
A world top player who went even par. What was he, 20 something going into the final round maybe, and went out and had the round of the day
21.
and worked his way up into top 5, or was it?
He tied for 5th, yeah.
Tied for 5th.
And
so
he even said they interviewed him afterwards, and he said, I never had a chance to win this. Like, I never really had a chance to win it.
It's easier to play like that. I mean, when you are in that position. And I think, that's what Adam and I talk about when we're talking about showdowns, is one of the most dangerous things is when you have one of these world top players that are, they're not playing badly, but they're playing loose. They have nothing to play for, and the guys at the top all have something to play for, and all of a sudden they go out there and have the round of the day. It's a pretty classic trope, but
Anyway, I enjoyed watching Jon Rahm at the top of his game immensely today, and I haven't really been a huge Jon Rahm fan, and that was an amazing display. It was awe-inspiring.
I first off, for our listeners, I love our one and done league, which is only the 3 of us, because Kevin gets super invested in each golfer every week. I remember him
and then forgets about him the next week.
Yeah, 2-3 months ago, he was telling me about Matsuyama's putting walls. Like, I've never heard it before. Like, man,
the guy could make a putt.
But Kevin, I think Rahm he ran out of holes, man. He had it. He just ran out of holes.
He
needed like another 72 or so, and he was good.
Why didn't they play 80 this week? All right.
I know.
Yeah. No.
If he was 5 under after 4, like I thought he was going to be,
I think one of the things that this continues to reaffirm for me. So Adam and I were doing rankings for Snake Draft, and this was after when we were doing our preview podcast with you, Kev. It was still Rahm hadn't had his baby, and so I was he wasn't top of my board at that point. But I was telling Adam, like, to me, Rahm is top of the board right now. Like, DJ's form was not great coming into the week. Bryson, I wanted to try to put him above there, but Rahm to me is so underrated. If you look at the last 2 years, so 2 full years of strokes gain data, he is the leader. Justin Thomas is in second. but he's like he's 2.4. JT's at like 2.15 or something. Like he's a good chunk ahead. And like I think we underrate Jon Rahm just because he hasn't won that major. If he had won a major, we'd be like, man, this guy is the best player in the world.
Yeah.
So I'll get into it a little bit more later, but I was watching a lot of Jon Rahm on like my groups on the Masters app, and when he hits a shot, he'll be like, oh, and you're like, as somebody who's cheering hard for him, I'm like, oh, as soon as he does that, and it's like slightly offline, but he still hit the green, and he's got like a 25-foot birdie putt instead of like stiffing it. I'm like, oh, that's I guess it's not a birdie, but it's not like If I was reacting like that, I would have just hit it in the woods, you know?
Yeah.
His expectations are so high, and because he's, first of all, I can't believe on his transition that he hasn't taken the club back further. I'm like, why are you half swinging? It's jarring every time. But
I feel the exact opposite about Corey Connors, where it seems like so long. I'm like, just pull back, go through now. Like it's so long and easy. I'm like, just hit it like me now, or Rahm. Come on.
But last thing about Rahm, I think that, we talk about this with some of the other top players, but not necessarily all of them. He has all the tools. He's got distance. He's got accuracy. He's got putting. He's got around the green play. He's got all the tools.
It's only a matter of time before he is a major champion for sure.
Yeah. So we've said it's not when, it's not if, but when for a lot of these guys. JT, Xander, Rory, Rahm. We're going to run out of years for a little bit. Someone's going to be disappointed when we talk about this group in 15 years.
In my opinion,
Smith,
of the people without a major, Rahm is at the top of the list.
Sorry, that was just Masters. I'm talking about
I'm talking about without a major of any kind. Rahm's at the top of the list. I think
sure.
Xander is probably next, and then maybe Cantley. I'd have to look a little bit harder to figure it out. But Rahm for sure is the one who I think is due.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more.
So speaking of
riding hard for Hatton. Sorry.
Riding hard for Hatton. So what do we want to move on to? We spoke about course conditions a bit.
Yeah, let's
firm
move
and
past
fast.
that.
Augusta played awesome firm and fast. That's the way it needs to play every year.
I also think they really put it on edge at the start of the week. Because it was anticipated that there was going to be weather. So I think if they didn't necessarily have forecasted weather, then maybe starting with it not necessarily softer, but like a little bit softer, and then letting it harden up as the week goes on is fun to see. But knowing that we have weather incoming, I love the way they handled it.
You know what? It's funny because you talked about that being on edge, but I can't think of a time where Augusta has been like over the edge.
I don't think it ever has been.
Yeah, so
but they also have more meticulous control there compared to any other golf course in terms of what they can do to the course.
And you also talked about 15 being more exciting, maybe a little more drama than 13 this week. I think that's because of how firm and fast it was. Like
there's
15 to show
times,
its teeth needs to be like hard and fast.
Yeah, and there's times that over the years, this hasn't been, maybe it's been a few years since this has been the case, but that front bank, I remember times when they let that so it could catch balls. It could hang up there. But it seems to me like nothing holds at the front anymore, which I'm cool with.
Awesome. Yeah.
And it seems like things run out the back pretty easily now. The thing I don't want it to get to, as long as you can hit a good drive and have the ability to hit a shot that can be received by the green. I don't want it to get to a point where they've tried to trick it up so much that any shot into the green is going to skip through. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
I don't want it to be that firm and that long that
but
you can't.
How awesome is it that around the greens, instead of just one hopping into thick rough right beside the green, it will slowly bleed away and then run 20 yards off. That's awesome. That's the way for these guys with their skill sets. I think that's the best to make them
absolutely
show off all aspects of their game.
And if people haven't started to figure this out that are setting up courses for tournaments, you haven't been paying attention, because I'm a casual to not casual golf fan, and I feel like I've figured this out. Like set up your courses to handle pro golf, and the way to do that is not to have long rough around all your greens.
Okay, guys, so we are about 55 minutes into our podcast, and our show outline here, I just did a quick calculation, is 350 words, and we're at word 50 right now. So I'm a little bit worried that we got to move along. So I'm going to push past course conditions, Augusta. I think we've moved on from that. I want to give a quick shout out to Corey Connors for the ace on Saturday. I think that was played more on Canadian television.
So should we go to shots of the tournament then? Because that's Kevin wants to give a shout
stealing
out
my
here.
shot of the tournament here.
Well, then Kevin got his shot.
No, let's do it. Let's do it. Kev, tell us about Corey Connors.
Yeah, Corey Connors, the 6th hole on Saturday. They're coming on air. They're just coming on air. And Nance gets to tell us it just a moment ago on the 6th hole. And Corey Connors, the Canadian boy, jars it to put himself, like, just inject himself into contention. I think he got to, was that to get to 6 under?
He was at 600 at the end of the day. I don't know where that got
anyway,
him at that point.
just catapulted him into contention, which was awesome. And only the 6th one, I guess, in the history of the Masters on the 6th hole. Everyone was jacked about it. Like, a lot of pros play it cool. Corey Connors shot both arms up in the air. Everybody was stoked about that. It was awesome.
Yeah,
I
was watching this morning. So in Canada, we have our own little Masters panel, and Weir made an appearance on the Masters panel, and he was saying that he was walking out, he was going out to the course. He doesn't usually do this, but he was going out to the course to watch them play, and he heard the roar, this somewhat subdued roar this year, and he's like, I tried to duck in somewhere where I could to check on my phone to see what had happened, but he was pretty jacked.
I heard that from Weirzy. I like that. Another thing, so Corey Connors comes from a small town, Listowel, Ontario, less than 8,000 people. The Listowel, I think, golf club or country club or whatever it is, I'm sure it's just the one of one club there. Their social media was loving it. I don't know if it's like the one person that like works the front desk and then probably like puts the pins in the morning and like on social media for Masters weekend, but they were all over Corey
I love that. I
loved it. I absolutely loved it. Like a small town little club in Ontario was just like all over Twitter, tagging the TSN people, getting in the mix with memes and GIFs and all that. I loved it.
Nice. Okay, Adam, you want to give us your shot of the tournament?
Yeah, we're skipping around. I got to figure out what my shot is. Oh, yeah. Hideki on Saturday. We come back. Craig talked about this a little bit. Come back from the rain delay, the weather delay. He's in that little alley on 11. Starting Amen Corner, he's in that little alley to the right.
As Kevin calls it, Tiger's Alley.
Tiger's Alley. It's
I don't even know if I call it that, but...
I don't know.
Beaten down from patrons. It's probably, 10 yards wide. It's got trees on either side. And he just hits this beautiful low shot down, 11, you got water on the left. He puts it, I don't even know how close it was, probably within 10 feet from an impossible angle. Beautiful shot. It just catapulted. It was his first birdie after that, and it just catapulted him into this position that he ultimately never gave up. So I think that was the changing point of the entire tournament. So that is the shot of the tournament for me.
Yeah. Hard to argue with that.
Hard to argue for sure. Other thing
Craig,
that
let's hear it.
I thought was interesting was we had that spot had a few other people throughout the day hit from there, and it's just interesting to see the different approaches that people took. I saw Adam Scott hit from there. I saw Justin Thomas hit from there. But anyways, I'm going Cameron Smith. His approach into 15 on Thursday. So this was when the course was playing at its hardest. 15, he absolutely striped his drive. I want to say he had 198. I'm just pulling this up here, but I think he had 198 in. And so the only other eagle I know was by Will Zalatoris, who had put it out into the right. I think he had landed it. I don't know if you know, but there's like the bunker over there, and there's a little bit of fairway between. I think Zalatoris had landed it on there. It was the only way that the green actually received it. But then Cameron Smith goes out there from 198, hits it to 2 feet. Just
Wow.
absolutely perfect shot. Makes his eagle. Unfortunately, Cam Smith then, he kind of had a tug of war through Friday, Saturday. A lot of people, and me being one of them, thought he might have a real shot this year.
I was pulling
and
hard for
he
Cam
plays
Smith.
he plays this course so well. He ended up, I think, backdoor top 10ing. But
Yeah, he did.
He was 4 over after like 9 on Thursday, I think. Like he battled hard to get back on Thursday.
But then again on Friday or Saturday, he had gone like super low and then gave a whole bunch of shots back.
I think he was +2 going into Friday, and he ended the day he got himself up to -5, and he ended the day at like -3.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Kevin,
'Kay.
biggest disappointment of the Masters player.
Yeah, so I'm glad you went to this. We gotta mention some of the missed cuts, I think, with biggest disappointments. So we got DJ, Rory, Wolf, Cantley, Sergio, Berger, Jason Day, Lee Westwood, Brooks. And I know you guys are going to touch on some of those guys for this. I'm going to say Justin Thomas. Justin Thomas, for me, a guy that made the cut, but and a guy that after Friday you thought might have put himself kind of in contention.
Sure.
And just kind of withered away. Like,
well, he was -4 through.
He was
-6
yeah.
holes.
He was so what, 3 back going into the start of Saturday.
Yeah.
And right in he was. So we talk about a guy like Xander having some problems on Sunday and then grinding back. Justin Thomas was like, he was playing okay. He was kind of, making birdies, making bogeys, but then he got to the 13th hole there yesterday and had to lay up, and then just I don't know what happened. He just absolutely imploded. He hit a wedge into the water, like didn't even come close to clearing it, like just a brutal wedge arguably the best wedge player in the world. And then goes on to play a terrible shot for his, I guess what would have been his 5th shot, and made an 8.
Almost. I mean, it wasn't bladed, but like close to blading.
Kind
his
of.
wedge.
It looked like he
for a
bladed
pro, somewhat bladed.
Yeah.
It, yeah.
And that was pretty much that. He wasn't able to rebound at all from that calamity on 13. Never kind of got any kind of momentum back, and it wasn't like that completely put him out of the tournament. Like if he would have sort of put his head down and just
he was still
tried to
Rahm
score
at that point.
Pardon me?
He was still ahead of Rahm at that point.
Yeah, if he would have put his head down and just tried to score like on the way in on Saturday, and maybe got to, I think that almost put him back to even. And if he would have just got to 2 or 3 or 4, he could have made some noise on Sunday potentially with a big charge. Yeah, and he just kind of he. I root pretty hard for Justin Thomas.
In a week that a lot of people were very high on him coming into the week.
Yeah,
and
he's got all the tools. And I was disappointed as a fan of his. Especially the way he just shot lights out on Saturday at the Players. He can go low. He kind of did on Friday, and I thought he was going to get himself into the mix, and then just didn't. So
the other thing I think that's really surprising to me about that is that it was really with the strongest club in his hands that he did it. Like, the thing about JT is it's not surprising that he'll play his way out of contention, but usually when that happens, it's getting wild with the driver. And I guess you could say that's what started it, because he hit the 3-wood. He was trying to hit that really hard drawing stinger.
I think he hit the driver hitting. Actually, he was trying to hit a big. Yeah, and
I thought he was hitting that same little stinging 3-wood draw.
I think he was trying to do it with a driver.
Oh, maybe that was the problem. And then got up into the trees, hit a pretty creative little punch out. But then it was the shot that you think of being like JT's strength that ultimately let him down, which was the surprising part to me.
Yeah, top 5 players should either be kind of doing the Hideki thing or the Rahm thing, like kind of charging through the weekend, and JT the exact opposite of that.
Yeah, you just, like I say, like I think I had one bet with Rahm, Xander, and JT to all top 10. Well, thanks.
Oh,
for nothing,
this
JT.
is why he's your biggest disappointment.
Okay, Craig, who's your biggest disappointment?
Okay, I'm going to keep it simple. Patrick Cantley. A lot of things to like about him coming in this week. I think he was a very popular choice. Just really showed us a whole lot of nothing. it kept moving backwards from the very start of the tournament. I don't have a lot more on it. He missed the cut at the Players, but that one doesn't set up as well for him as this one. So, just expected. He's played this course well before. There's no reason to expect him to play as bad as he did. I hope that we see some better form from Patrick here.
What happened to Cantley? Did he just is a slow bleed or what?
I don't even know. It was more like a massive hemorrhage. I
was looking at because they have all the shots on the app there, and I was looking at some of his big numbers, and on 13 he was in what you're telling me I call Tiger's Alley, 11. He was in Tiger's Alley there, and played what looked like a beautiful swinging hook into the green, and then it just got a bounce and then spun into the water. I was like, ooh, I guess that's the other way it can go when you're playing that draw out of those trees.
Yeah, to be honest, I did not. So he was 79 in his opening round, and I did not pay super close attention to him the rest of the way because he was kind of out of it, and it didn't really have a hope. I mean, he could have still made the cut at that point, but he didn't. He was 1 over in his second round, and
disappointing. Mine is Daniel Berger. So he was in the very last group on Friday. And on Friday, we had a cut number we knew wasn't going to move. It was +3. You had to get +3 to make the cut. On 14, he's on 14.
Can I set the stage a little bit?
Sure.
Adam is entered in the Millie Maker. He has 5 of 6 guys safely through to the weekend.
Top 10.
Hideki?
Top 10 guys.
Hey, listen.
No. I had
Rose. You had Rose at that point, and Rose was leading.
Palmer, JT, Spieth, all of them in the top 10. It was looking like I was ready to look on Realtor and look for a new house. It was beautiful.
Adam, I can relate because I had Berger in our family pool as the only guy who wasn't getting through. So just as much stake.
Just as much at stake. So this really sets the stage for Adam's disappointment because he's already counting his winnings.
He ruined a bunch of 6 of 6s. But
Berger's the last one to come in that needs to make the cut. Okay, stage is set.
He's on 14T. All he needs to do is go 1 under the net into the house. So we know we got 15. Okay, great. So 14, perfect. First hole. This is all we need. He sticks it to 5 feet on his approach. Misses the putt. Okay, that's okay. 14's a little bit tougher. We got 15. Doesn't get it done on 15 on the par 5 15. Doesn't get it done. Then 16,
and you're worried now. I was worried. I was like, oh no, frig. Because 16 was a diabolical pin.
Yeah, it's up on that thing. Where we're like, okay, he's on the right level, but he's still 20 feet away. He hits the putt. Perfect. Yes, we're in. Berger, we're in. Par, we're into the weekend, buddy. We got to get it done. Big moves gonna happen on the weekend. We have what we need. It goes into 17. And gets that bogey. Berger, you just drained this 20-foot putt to get the birdie.
We just did so much work to get here.
And it seemed like there was so much, you could tell he knew where the number was, it seemed like. And he was just he got to the number. Yes.
And then 18, okay, fine. We can birdie 18 and get in. We can birdie it. We know. We saw guys hunting that flag all day. Actually, I think Corey Connors hit that flag that day. He goes up and he splashes it on the bunker on the right. What are you doing? Oh, as Daniel Berger, he won right after the COVID break, and it was kind of.
Do you think he knew how much it meant to you?
I don't know. You know what? I got
maybe he would have tried a little bit harder if he knew what this meant to you.
I know. But people were calling for him to be invited to the November Masters when he didn't qualify, but he had that win. This was his redemption story and didn't get it done on the weekend. I think he was 15th in the world coming in. I don't even know where he dropped to, but you're a top 15 player in the world. Disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? I hate to say it, but this has been my experience with Berger. I want to get on board and get him in these lineups because he's got so much game, and he just has been let down a couple times in a big way.
Okay, so do we want to, while we're here on disappointments, do we want to have a quick chat on a few of the other top players in the world that did not get it done this week? DJ Rory, or do we not really have much to say on them?
Rory, Rory's game. I mean, he was fade going in. He's working on it. It's not there. DJ was a surprise.
So the one thing I'll say real quick on Rory, from what he says, it's a process that is, they're planning on it being a somewhat long-term process to get to a somewhat new, not a new way of playing, but essentially a new way of thinking about and approaching it and figuring things out on the course when things start to go wrong and stuff. And we're early in that process. So the thing I am caring most about is that the long-term plan is good. I don't care about this Masters. I don't, what I want is Rory to get back to it being contending in majors. And so hopefully they're on the path for that.
So just to be clear, are you okay, Craig?
Not really, but
all I can do now is put on a brave face.
Yeah, all I can do is put on a brave face.
Lee Westwood, we gotta talk. I mean, the caddy change. He had a good thing going.
Yeah.
Brings on the sun. Missed cut at the Masters where he's dominated. I don't know, Lee.
I don't want to get involved in your relationships, but
yeah, I don't know. Jason Day, Kevin went through it. Anyone else there you guys want to talk about real quick?
What about Bryson?
DJ was disappointed. DJ should have made the cut, I think.
Yeah, DJ.
Yeah, of course.
And then just really did not get it done coming home. Brooks, to me, so I think Brooks deserves the second. I'm happy that Brooks tried to make a go of it. I think, clearly he did not have his best stuff, but if he had have done something, then freaking cool, as long as it doesn't set him back, then I love these guys that try to go out there and do it when they're not physically 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
Did you see the clip of him when asked how disappointed he was?
Yeah.
What did he say?
Craig?
I don't remember exactly, but I'm effing of course I'm effing disappointed. I don't remember exactly what it was, but you got any more
hard F-bomb there.
Yeah, in Butler Cabin or wherever they were doing. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm not even going to curse on our family-friendly podcast here.
Yeah.
Bryson made the cut, but obviously some people were pretty high on him. Obviously not what.
You know what? He's a one and done. We'll talk about that as we get to our picks a little bit later. Let's talk about. So we've talked a lot about the tournament, but there's overlooked stories of the tournament. What the media doesn't necessarily cover, or the coverage doesn't kind of put in a spotlight.
I think you should start here, Adam.
I'll start here. I think the one thing that kind of really gets overlooked, or especially this year, is there's a top 12 automatic qualifier into the next Masters. And I think that's very important because the Masters qualifier, it's the PGA winners. It's just top 50 in the world at 2 different points.
It's tighter than any other major.
It's a small field.
It was 88 this year. It's a really small field. We see, Hudson Swafford and Brian Gaze and these guys that win get their shot, and then they might, because they're not in the top 50 in the world, might not get in again. But there's guys coming down. We were talking about this a little bit before the show when people are wrapping up, and we were kind of condensing down to 8 groups, 6 groups, 4 groups, and there's less shots to show. These are the shots they need to show. It's huge. It's a huge thing for these guys' careers to make it. And we got Brian Harmon got in the top 12. Robbie McIntyre, Siwoo Kim.
These
Kevin
are all
Na.
guys who easily could be out of the top 50 by the next time. Yeah.
And then Stuart Sink, Corey Connors, 2 years in a row. He got back to the Masters with another top 10. That, it's a huge story, and we don't need to see much of it. Craig, you kind of talk about this with the whole NFL red zone example. Show, one good shot they had for that day, and then show their putt on 18 where they need to save par or get a birdie to make that spot, because we know we have an idea what that spot's going to be. I think it's just kind of a missed opportunity later on Sunday. It's just such an
easy story to tell, and it's such low hanging fruit, and it also celebrates your tournament. It's such an easy win that I don't understand how they're not getting that.
It's like there's, what did you say? There's 88 guys in the field this week. There's one guy who's going to win. Tell a few other stories,
totally.
There's 80
and this is happening
7 other
at the
stories
point
to tell
when groups are finishing and you're running out of golfers to show and stuff. So this is a very, very easy thing to do that you need to start realize. It's just they're really struggling to get out of their decades old model of the only thing that matters is the winner, and that's all people care about, that's all golfers care, that's all the players care about, that's all the fans care about. Everyone cares about more than that now, but the broadcasters have done a very poor job of realizing that it's not about another 15-second shot of pulling up along a tree to show the group that's marking their balls on a green, like,
We're going to the fifth analyst opinion on the one shot that we saw from one of the leaders. Like, we have opportunities here to, and I kind of go back to the Olympics of like telling these stories, and people don't know necessarily that they want to be told the story, but once they hear it, they're like, yeah, that's a great story. Of course I want to hear about Stuart Sink and his one win, then he got into year, now he has his son as his caddy, and now he gets to play next year. Like, that's a great story.
Well, and like, take our wives, for example. They're not going to care if I tell them about this great shot this person hit, but like, if I tell them that this person, if they sink this putt, they get to come back, and like, this is going to be, such a big thing for their career. Like, if I can convince them to care about this, then they should realize that they can get their viewers to care about this, like, it's pretty simple if you don't overthink it.
You really got to play up the human element with the wives.
Yeah.
You do. Okay, speaking of last Masters, Craig, what's your
So yeah, mine here, and I did a little bit of digging. I don't think I'm missing anything on this one, but this could potentially be Henrik Stenson's last Masters. He was playing this week on an exemption from the 2016 Open Championship, which I believe is a 5-year exemption.
That's run out. Yeah, that's for sure.
So this will be the last year of that. We're talking about a guy that's 45 years old. He has fallen to 108th in the world. He made the cut this week, which is awesome if this is his last Masters. But he had 6 missed cuts in a row coming into this week.
I was going to say
on both the European and PGA Tour. He actually had an outside chance at the top 12 at the start of the day because he was 1 under to start the day. He faded throughout the day and ended up +3 in the tournament. But a great golfer, a very distinguished career. I have a hard time seeing a road. I mean, I guess you could have said the same thing about Lee Westwood a couple years ago, but I have a hard time seeing road back to the Masters for him.
So real quick, 5-time Ryder Cup participant, Players Champion, Open Champion, like you said, in 2016, 6 PGA Tour wins, 11 European Tour wins, decorated career.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a guy that, at least from what I see, he is an entertaining dude and a good dude. So
yeah, seems like a good personality. One of the best club snappers of all time.
But just also like the things that him and Poulter put out pranking on each other on social media, it's pretty entertaining.
Yeah, they seem like good guys for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, Kevin, what's your overlooked story of the tournament?
Yeah, so I don't know if it's overlooked or not talked about as much, but unique to the Masters, I think. I just was super excited about how awesome the Masters viewing options are. So Craig was talking about how we don't need to see this or the model of golf broadcasting being broken, which I agree with, and I think it is heavily influenced by a guy who was dominant and won all the time for 15 years, and they could focus on that because that's what everybody wanted to see.
And they haven't learned how to adapt to a world after that
since then. So now with the uptick in popularity of golf betting and all these other things, the Masters is your best tournament for so many reasons. So I, doing a number of things, wasn't always in front of a TV while watching the Masters, but like I was talking about Jon Rahm this morning. I was wanting to watch Jon Rahm right from the beginning this morning. Well, the Masters website and the Masters app, you can watch every shot from every player. So you can build on their My Groups thing. You can build I
think the people that are listening know this. Just they probably watched the tournament.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is you can build a favorites list on this, and all it does is show the shots of your favorites, and then if there's ever a break where they don't have a new shot from one of your favorites, they'll show either great shots or leaders on the course. So you're essentially getting a telecast with no commentary with all the players you want to see.
So to me, that's a huge advantage too, is that it's not just the people, it's not just how you build it, but then if there is nothing happening when you know, say you picked 5 players and none of them have a shot that has come up, then they default to either leaders or
great shots
or great shots, which is
to me is cool. Yeah.
And like, these are the guys, like, if you have a you know, a DraftKings lineup or whatever, and you just want to see certain players and you don't really care because, you know, the leaders are on the first hole or they haven't even teed off yet or the coverage hasn't even started. You just start your stream and like you get all the guys you want to see, all the shots you want to see. It's awesome. It's like, I was so impressed with that. And if they could take that and apply it to other things, like for the gamblers out there, for, I don't know, for the people who can't necessarily.
I don't think those people deserve any.
You know, you can do this on your tablet. You can.
Here's the other thing too, awesome. that I think Craig will respect, being kind of the behind the scenes guy at Grandstand Golf a little bit. No, they don't just have a single camera. So they have the camera with it, then they have the ball. This is all within like 60 seconds of the shot happening. The shot of the ball in the air, and then they have the shot, you know, on the fairway or on the green. So they cut 3 different shots together within 60 seconds into a tight little 15-second window and give you that highlight.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It's good.
It was my first time using this My Groups part of it, and whether you're using that to supplement the coverage or using that early in the day or whatever, awesome. I was just like thoroughly impressed. Masters can do whatever they want to do because they have all the money in the world, and they did this a few years ago where they started playing every live shot, and the PGA needs to catch up.
When your poor members are like Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, and people will pay $15 for a ball marker that has a Masters logo on it. You can pretty much innovate in whatever way you want. But the thing is,
sandwiches are only $2.
Yeah, that's true. The sandwiches are $2. The thing to me, so the Masters has continuously been an innovator in golf broadcasting. So I think they were the first to have color broadcasts. They were, to me, so like the one thing I remember, and maybe this displays a little bit of my university career, but or my time in university, but I remember sitting there, this is back maybe like 2005, sitting there in lectures on my laptop with Masters feeds up, where you could, you know, it was when you were first able to watch Amen Corner in 15, 16. Then now it's the every shot, every shot live is what the PGA Tour does at the Players Championship. But I think I was talking about this with you, Adam, but like essentially this is now going to percolate. It's going to, I think, you know, we've seen this now at Augusta for a couple years. It's now at the Players Championship. It won't be long before it's at the other majors, and then it'll be the WGCs, and then someday in the distant future, it'll probably just be how golf is broadcast. But it's just the Masters is innovative, and I think they deserve a lot of respect for that.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's a good point to bring up. So this was supposed to be a rapid fire question segment. Do we have any rapid fires? I scratched them out. Is there any that you guys really want to touch on real quick? Do we want to talk about, does Hideki get another major? And
let's do that one.
Quick yes and no. Okay, Craig, yes and no. Does Hideki get another major?
I didn't know it was going to come to me when I said I agreed to do.
This always happens in our final round showdown video.
I'm gonna go. This is not the take I would have thought I would say, but I think no. I think there's too much talent. I think that majors are harder to win than we think. If he has a permanent fix on his putter, you know, they say he's working with a new coach. The first time he's working with anyone other than his dad as a coach. If he has a fix on his putter, then I could see it happening. But I'm gonna go with no.
I'm going to go with yes. I had no idea that Craig hated Hideki so much, so I'm going to go with yes.
Just to be contrarian. I respect that. I really respect that. I'm going to go no, just on 2 factors. Majors are really hard to win, and the golf talent pool is better than we've ever seen.
It's deep.
Ever. I mean, we keep talking about all these guys like it's a matter of when and not, you know, all
okay,
that.
Can I throw another question?
Yeah.
How many does Tiger win if he was starting right now?
19.
How many?
I was going to say 2. No, I'm just kidding.
How many does Tiger have?
Let's not actually answer that. I just wanted to mess with Kev a bit.
Adam, why don't you give us your 3 stars, man?
Let's do 3 stars. I'm going to do this real quick. So 3rd star. You guys might have a good idea who 1 and 2 are going to be. 3rd star, I'm going Stuart Sink. because I don't know if there's a third person in this field where their placing meant more than Stuart Sink. He was one of those guys, top 12. He got that automatic invite. He shot 1 under on Sunday to get into that T12 position. He's 47 years old. He doesn't have many starts left. We don't know if he would get back to Augusta.
Was his son on the bag? I didn't actually
His son
know.
was on the bag.
Oh,
His
nice.
son was on the bag. Reagan was on the bag.
Assist to Reagan.
Yeah, assist to Reagan. He was 149th in the world coming in, so that's even with his win. He's up to 115th. I don't think any of us expect him to break into the top 50, but he has his Masters invite for next year, no matter what.
Yeah.
Way to go, Stuart.
Great
Third star, Stuart Singh. Second
You
star,
know
Will
what?
Zalatoris.
Fourth star to you for choosing such a great third star.
Hey, yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate that. Second star, Craig. This one's coming back to you. Will Zalatoris, one of Craig's boys from My Boys episode. We talked about this. He was 119th in the world at the time of the airing, Craig. I'm going to throw that one to you. He was 119th in the world at the time of the airing of that episode. He is now 27th in the world, and he doesn't look like he's going to stop climbing.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is exactly the trajectory I predicted. No, it might be a little bit more rapid than expected.
Top 10 at the U.S. Open, top 5 at the Masters. Yeah, exactly what I expected.
Yeah, he was killing it on the Corn Ferry Tour at the time, and then he has escalated things since then. I think love to see it.
Star number 1, Hideki Matsuyama. I don't have another cool stat for you guys this week for Hideki. I just think it is one of the biggest wins. I mean, for sure since we've been doing Grandstand, but as a golf fan, biggest wins relative to importance to the game of golf worldwide that I've seen in a long, long time. And I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I agree. Super cool that he cited that he was inspired by, and I don't have her name in front of me, but the girl who won the amateur at the Augusta last week, talked about how inspired he was by that and made it a clean sweep for Japan. Awesome. I think it's just awesome.
Yeah. So the one thing I will pull up as a stat here, it's not a stat so much as watch out for the next wave of Japanese golfers, because I was reading this article.
Yes.
This is in Canada, but it was by a Canadian who had played on the Japan Golf Tour in the 90s, and he's quoted saying that like he was already like Wayne Gretzky over there. Now he's going to be like Wayne Gretzky times 50. And if you think that like Japan was already a bit of a golf crazy nation, think about all the kids who have been in COVID, lockdown, pandemic, whatever it has been in, and then their families were watching Hideki Matsuyama win the Masters this weekend, and how many kids are going to either take up golf or become all the more committed to it or whatever it is. But we're going to see, he talks about it as a third boom because there's already been a couple booms in golf over there. Watch out, because when Japan, when they set out to do something, they're fairly fastidious about doing a good job of it. So watch out for the next wave.
So it was Kajitani won last week.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, the other thing I wanted to bring up was on our preview pod, our Masters preview pod, we said at the very end, what's your bold prediction for the Masters? Craig, I'm going to throw it to you first. Your bold prediction was DJ finishes outside the top 10.
Yeah, and I asked you guys because I was like, is this bold enough? I did not go as far as saying he was going to miss the cut, but I'm feeling pretty good about my bold prediction because
I feel like it wasn't bold enough.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Okay, my bold prediction was he's going to miss the cut. Oh, nailed it!
That's bold.
Brilliant.
Boom.
Brilliant. Kevin, your bold prediction was Mike Weir top 30. Oh,
that was bold.
It was bold.
Yeah. He didn't miss the cut. He played pretty solid. He didn't miss the cut by much.
He had a good Saturday.
I think if he would have snuck in there, I think he would have done it.
Yeah. My bold prediction was less than 10 players under par at the end of the tournament. I was feeling pretty good. Augusta was really kind of proving to be a hard test early on.
Showing his teeth.
But then that rain come. Guys, the rain rained on my bold prediction parade.
Yeah.
And it ended up being 20 players under par. It's still pretty good. It was like 40-something last year, so I'm chalking it up as like a quarter win. How about that?
No.
No.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, moving on. Let's do real quick. Good bets, bad bets, red bets, green bets. Our pick sheet that we talked about on our podcast and then posted on Twitter. I don't think anything changed after our podcast. Winner, no winners, but Kevin was closer to Jon Rahm T5. Craig went Bryson DeChambeau, and I went Webb Simpson. Sleeper, Kevin and I both went Jason Day for a missed cut.
Now, the one thing, I feel like we should pause on Bryson for a sec because, Bryson...
We did say we'd come back, yeah.
We said he's probably the one guy of the top players in the world who we haven't talked about. I felt that was a somewhat bold take for me to go with Bryson because he has bad history with Masters.
Yep.
He seems like an obvious choice for some of the tournaments coming up later in the year. So I tried to be a little bit contrarian. It didn't work. I still am convinced that I don't think he's as ill-suited to Augusta as other people seem to think. And I think Kevin potentially is in the other camp of me here, but I think I think the guy's going to be a contender here once he just kind of, first off, he just needs to calm down in general most of the time, but I think he is going to start to slowly unlock things, and we're going to see him contend here in the future.
Yeah, once he can bring slopes and more angles into his calculations, then maybe Augusta will suit him better.
At this rate, you got to think he's building his own green book. He's had 30 trips around here with practice rounds. I think it's got to be pretty close to figuring them out.
Yeah, but I think a lot of the things that he typically does well, like the template is there. It's just his execution has been very, very poor here.
He was all over the place. Like he was so inaccurate this week. He was playing from
like those long par threes on the front. I think typically he's gonna feast on those. It's just his play. His play was poor. But if people are thinking that this is like, definitive of Bryson's not going to be able to figure this course out because he's not the artist, I would pump the brakes on that take. That would be my
I think that's
thing.
a little silly.
That 67 on Friday looked pretty effortless.
It looked like he actually should have had a bad round and it turned into a 67.
It almost looked like what his par would be on that course.
Yeah,
actually.
Overused joke of the week.
Hey, listen, you know what? The golf gods don't like when you say stuff like that.
No, they don't.
When you declare that the par for you on this course is something less than par, and Bryson is paying the price for that.
The only thing worse than that is like when the casual golfer says they figured it out.
Yeah, that's a pie in the face. No pie in the face this week, but that's a pie in the face for...
I feel like that's a direct shot at our father, though, who tells me he's figured it out every time I talk to him on the phone.
Harsh. Okay, going back to our pick sheet. Sleeper, Craig was the best with Joaquin Neiman, who kind of just walked into a top 40 there. Nothing special on the weekend.
I'll take more credit for my Zalatoris sleeper on the DFS show.
For sure. Fade. Man, you guys crush it here. Craig went with Dustin Johnson. Missed cut. Nailed it there. Kevin, Rory McIlroy, who hasn't missed a cut here in over a decade, nailed that too. Well done.
Yeah, punching down there at Rory. That's harsh.
I went Tyrrell Hatton, which you guys said didn't count anyways. I got the motivation onto him. He had his best round ever on Sunday and got into a top 20.
Way to go, Tyrrell.
Yeah.
Top Canadian, Corey Connors, Mackenzie Hughes, and one and done, Jordan Spieth.
Good showing for the Canadians, though, like across the board.
Yeah.
A little bit of a fade from Corey Connors on Sunday, but...
Same with Mackenzie Hughes. He was +4 on Sunday.
Yeah. But even, I think, every round, wasn't he? Until Sunday?
Until Sunday, yeah.
So good showing from the Canucks. Love to see that. Let's hope for a little bit more next time around.
And then one and dones we talked about. I just kind of passed Kevin a little bit to regain second place. Craig is still out ahead in first at just under 5 million.
We both gained.
Bad miss though. Bad result for a Bryson.
Bad use of Bryson, and
I've still got DJ in my pocket though. So that's the thing that like I feel bad about using Bryson for a T46, but the other guy I was considering was DJ. So like I would have felt a lot worse using up DJ.
Yeah.
I'm just going to wait till Bryson signs up for one of these, weaker field events and just bludgeons the hell out
The
of it.
Rocket Mortgage.
Yeah. And then real quick, we did a snake draft at the end of the podcast. I snagged Hideki in the 7th round, so with payouts, it's hard to recover from not having a winner. I got Hideki in the 7th. I think the second best pick was Craig in the 10th round with Will Zalatoris.
I'd say that was the pick of the draft.
Oh, give me a break.
It saved his team, I'll tell you that much.
It did save his team. Kevin had the best start, reaching for Jon Rahm at 101, and then coming back around the snake was Xander. So Kevin had a really good start, but the rest of his team
Cantley and Berger, your two biggest disappointments. So, really, if everything lived up to your guys' expectations, my team would have walked with.
Yeah.
Personal bets time. Did you guys have anything that you want to talk about this week? Kevin, you were hammering the outrights. I don't know if the futures worked out.
Did not work out for me this week, and yet I still enjoyed it thoroughly. So that speaks to the quality of the champion.
I think it also speaks to the quality of your approach to betting, where like I can win, I can lose, just in the way that I spend money betting. It can be a positive week, it can be a negative week. I'm still going to enjoy it. It accentuates my golf watching. It's not, I think if it's not doing so, then maybe you need to check out from betting on sports. But
so I got a little story for you guys. I talked about this last Master. I got an invite to the local kind of pool. It was 60 last time. I think it was 78 this time. So I threw $30 into this pool, and
78 people in the pool.
78 people. It's one of these, you pool A, pick 2 players from the top in the world. Pool B, pick 2 players from this. And then there's like probably 7 or so pools, and you build a roster of 17 guys. Or around there.
Yeah.
Around there. So I entered my guys, and I didn't really think about it. I won it last year. I feel like I'm playing with profit. It didn't go well. I had Jason Day, Lanto Griffin, Lee Westwood, Rory, Sergio, Zach Johnson. All miscuts, no money. Didn't even really have a second thought.
You should have consulted with us for better picks.
On Sunday morning, I'm like, I think I have Hideki. He's in the lead right now. That's a $2 million paycheck. Maybe I can kind of sneak into something. I look at my team. I got Hideki. I got Will Zalatoris. I got Jordan Spieth. I got Jon Rahm. I got Marc Leishman. And all of a sudden, my Sunday is wild. I am sweating like I have never sweated before on a bet. Anyways, and this is where, going back to early in the pod, Xander, I didn't have Xander, and his
so
shot on 16,
triple you were just loving.
I love the guy. It was like Hovland's big number at WGC. Like it tore my heart in half. On one hand, I was like so sad for the guy that he was going through this, and I felt for him, but also I was about to win all this money.
So did you win it?
I was so happy with it. Sorry,
did you win it?
I won $1,400 off 30. Off 30.
So like when Xander's ball went in the water, was your reaction one of happiness or what? Yeah.
I was a little excited. My wife and daughter were in the backyard. I'm like, Val, I think we got some money. I think we got some money here. The one thing that also
so you were at that point cheering against him.
I wasn't putting any bad anything bad into the air, but
But you were okay with this result. I mean,
I wasn't sad when it happened, know.
So was that first place money?
It was first place money.
2 for 2.
2 for 2. I was telling my friend Rory, who invited me to this pool, I gotta throw the next Masters so don't get kicked out.
You're not gonna get invited next year.
I used the Rounders reference for the 2020 Masters. I feel like I'm showing up to the local poker game and taking these guys' money, and I get busted at Vegas with DraftKings. I feel like I'm in Atlantic City now. I got to give some money back. I got to give a little bit of money back. But yeah, it's kind of crazy with these ones that do it by the money. If you don't have first, second, you're kind of hooped.
Yeah,
for sure.
And Craig's boys, Hideki and Will Zalatoris, came through for me.
Well, I mean, Hideki, I think you were, I didn't even have Hideki in my pool this week. So really that's on you. The Zalatoris, maybe I'll take an assist on that one because I've been chirping him in your ear for a while now, but no, that's a good win. That's a good win.
I think it's the best golf win I've ever had.
It pays for a lot of weeks.
It pays for a lot of weeks. Yeah. But that will be withdrawn for family funds, I think, a little bit.
Oh, yeah. I guess that pays for a lot of goodwill.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, is that a good spot to call it? I think that is.
Yeah, that's as good as any.
It's like a stanza.
It's the top of the mountain.
I'm out. Yeah, thank you everybody for listening. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast. Leave that rating and review. We'll talk about it at the top of the pod. We'll give you a shout out right at the top of the pod. So make sure you do that. And then, of course, subscribe to our YouTube and watch our videos there. And follow us on Twitter at Grandstand Golf.
And just on that note, we do appreciate, we got over 1,000 this week. We appreciate all you guys out there. Keep giving us those thumbs up. We'll keep trying to make semi-decent content for you.
Yeah, exactly. All right, everybody, take care.
Take care, everyone.
Yes.